Hi everyone and welcome to another video from DisplayRepair.com. In this video we'll show you how to determine if you have a bad wheel bearing problem. This isn't complicated and most of this you can probably do on your own. So stay tuned. DisplayRepair.com. Be sure to visit us at our website DisplayRepair.com where you can find more useful car and driving tips. If you want to learn more about the most common symptoms of a bad wheel bearing, we've made a separate video on this topic. Click on the link if you want to see it. Listening is the first way to find out if you have a bad wheel bearing. Also, it can perhaps help determine from what wheel it's coming from. This isn't that accurate, especially in the beginning stage of the problem, and can be mistaken for other car problems. But if you listen carefully while driving, you have a good chance of at least determining from what side of the car it's coming from. It gets easier to spot as the problem gets worse because the sound is easier to notice and more distinctive. We've made a separate video dedicated specifically to bad wheel bearing noises and how they sound from the beginning until the problem is solved. Click on the link if you want to see it. Once you notice the sound, it would be best to raise the car and spin the wheels. If you have a car lift, the job would be much easier, but having a car jack is the more common situation. When this is the case, you'll probably have to raise the car one wheel at a time, so to say. So secure the car, insert the car jack and raise the car until the wheel has at least a couple of inches of clearance. If you want to see more on how to raise and secure the car when changing a flat tire, click on the link to watch the video. Be prepared that you'll perhaps have to raise the car multiple times until you determine what wheel has a bad bearing. This is where the sound and listening comes in handy. If you correctly guess what wheel is producing the sound, you'll have less work to do. Once the car is raised, give the wheel a good spin. If the wheel bearing is bad, you'll immediately notice sounds like humming, squealing, clicking, or even grinding if the problem is in the final stage. In most cases, you'll also hear a slight screeching sound coming from the brake pads when turning the wheel, so don't mistake this for a bad wheel bearing. Here's a wheel that has a good wheel bearing and one that's bad. Besides spinning the wheel, you have another option to check a bad wheel bearing while the car is raised. Grab the tire on each side and try to push and pull it from side to side. Try to wobble it. This is for testing if the wheel has any extra play. When everything is okay, the wheel should have no play at all. If it does, something is wrong. But there might be other things wrong, like bad links, tie rods, steering knuckles, or else. A good way to determine if the wheel bearing is the problem is to grab the wheel on the top and bottom and wiggle it. If it has play on this axis, then the wheel bearing is probably the cause. If it has play from left to right, then there may be other things wrong that you should check as soon as possible. So once more, the whole procedure would be to first listen, then raise the car, spin the wheels, and check if they have any extra play. As mentioned, a fairly simple task and one that doesn't take much time to do. Within half an hour or less, you should be able to spot the problem and perhaps solve it. For the end, I would recommend to try all this the moment you hear any noises. The sooner you recognize the problem, the sooner you'll solve it. Even if it's not the wheel bearing, this way you may spot some other cause of the problem. So that's it for this time. I hope this video helps. Please like and subscribe, it's a huge help for what we're doing. Thanks for watching and thanks for your time.